When a marriage or civil partnership ends, the court has wide statutory powers to redistribute money and property to achieve a fair outcome. The immediate problem is that when a single marital pool splits apart, it rarely leaves two equal halves. One party often faces a severe deficit in their ongoing income and earning capacity. To address this disparity, practitioners rely on the primary statutory tool for ongoing support, the periodical payments order, found under Section 23, subsection 1, paragraph A of the Matrimonial Causes Act 1973. As this flowchart illustrates, a periodical payments order functions as a continuous bridge of resources, transferring regular maintenance from payer to payee. This financial bridge is strictly regulated. It is designed to meet specific needs, not to act as an absolute, permanent entitlement. That limitation comes from an opposing statutory force that restricts how Section 23 operates, Section 25A of the Act. Section 25A establishes what is universally known in family law as the clean break principle. It imposes a strict statutory duty on the court. Judges must consider how to transition both parties to complete financial independence as soon as it is just and reasonable to do so. We are going to map the mechanical parameters of Section 23 orders and evaluate exactly how courts use specific legal triggers to balance the need for financial support with the demand for ultimate independence. Understanding how these two statutory forces interact is essential to determining how and for how long resources flow between former spouses. We begin with the most standard application of the statute, the unsecured periodical payments order. Unsecured orders rely entirely on the payer's ongoing cash flow and future earning capacity. This carries an inherent risk. The payer could default on the payments, unexpectedly lose their job, or deliberately attempt to evade their financial obligations. To mitigate risk, courts can order secured periodical payments under Section 23(1)(b). This legally binds the maintenance to a capital asset, like property. The asset can generate funds directly, or serve as collateral to be seized if the payer defaults. Despite the protection they offer, secured orders are exceedingly rare in everyday practice. They require specific triggers to justify their use, such as a documented history of the payer lying about assets, or cases involving significant overseas wealth that would be difficult for a UK court to enforce against. Furthermore, if an asset exists that is valuable enough to be used as security, courts often prefer to simply order its sale to fund a clean break lump sum payment instead. While secured orders eliminate default risk, they require surplus capital. For the vast majority of divorces, the cash-dependent unsecured order remains the default reality. Once the financial funding mechanism is firmly established, the focus of the court shifts to determining exactly how long the legal obligation endures. An unsecured order can default to the joint lives of the parties. However, Section 28(1) introduces automatic terminators that sever this timeline. The order terminates immediately upon the death of the payer, the death of the recipient, or the remarriage of the recipient. This brings us to a critical misconception frequently held by junior practitioners and clients alike regarding new relationships. As this graphic highlights, while remarriage creates a hard stop, cohabitation does not automatically terminate a periodical payments order. The defining precedent on this issue is the 2006 case of K versus K. The court ruled that cohabitation is considered a circumstance of the case. It can trigger a review of the order, which often leads to a general tapering downward of the payments over time. The logic applied by the court was straightforward. If cohabitation is accepted as a new social norm, financial independence should realistically accompany it. Unless a hard statutory terminator like remarriage is hit, the statute will not end the obligation automatically. The payer must actively apply to the court for a variation to stop the payments. We must return to the overriding legal philosophy of Section 25A, the duty to achieve a clean break. How does a court act when an immediate clean break is impossible because one spouse has a severe current financial need? The court utilizes the judicial mechanism of the deferred clean break. By setting a fixed term, the timeline compresses, giving the recipient time to adjust without hardship. Normally, the recipient can apply for an extension. To permanently prevent that, the court can impose the Section 28(1)(a) bar. The 28(1)(a) bar is an explicit court order that permanently prohibits the recipient from applying for an extension of the fixed term, regardless of any future hardship. Applying this severe bar requires very careful justification, and higher courts routinely overturn it on appeal if used improperly. The limitations on this bar were established in key cases like Waterman versus Waterman in 1989 and Flavel versus Flavel in 1997. These cases set the precedent that a strict bar is inappropriate when there is genuine uncertainty about the future, particularly in cases involving young children. Flavel specifically highlighted that older spouses, in this case women in their mid-50s, without substantial capital or their own earning capacity, should rarely face a strict bar on extensions. A standard fixed term operates as a judicial warning to become self-sufficient. A fixed term accompanied by a 28(1)(a) bar operates as an absolute, legally unchangeable deadline. There is one final, highly strategic variation of a periodical payments order: the nominal order. A nominal order mandates maintenance payments set at an artificial value, typically exactly £1 per year. Why would a practitioner apply for an income order that provides zero actual material support? As this visual shows, the wedge keeps the door open. The true value of a nominal order is purely jurisdictional. It keeps the recipient's legal claim open and prevents a binding clean break. For the recipient, this is a permanent insurance policy. It allows them to apply for an upward variation later if their financial circumstances catastrophically deteriorate. For the payer, it is highly detrimental. It leaves them permanently tethered to their ex-spouse, stripping away any true finality. The clarifying case law for this strategy is SRJ versus DWJ from 1999. The court justified a nominal order for a homemaker exiting a 27-year marriage, specifically so she could seek a variation later, waiting for the exact moment her husband's struggling business eventually improved. Nominal orders are not dismissals of financial need. They are calculated judicial wait-and-see mechanisms that prioritize a long-term safety net over an immediate clean break. Reviewing the complete spectrum of Section 23, we see the full matrix of options available to the court. A periodical payments order is a highly variable tool designed specifically to bridge the gap between marital dependence and post-divorce autonomy. Whether a judge deploys a joint lives order, a fixed term, or a nominal amount depends entirely on a rigorous, fact-specific balancing test. Section 23 provides the necessary lifeline to prevent immediate hardship, but Section 25A demands that the lifeline eventually be severed. Practitioners must manage an order's eventual termination with the same strategic precision used to initiate it. By mastering these statutory mechanisms and case law, practitioners can navigate a client's transition from financial dependency to independent self-sufficiency, ensuring a legally robust outcome.